All right. Hello, everyone. We're going to have a couple presentations in just a moment here, in about 15 minutes here. For the first couple minutes, we're just going to stay here for a little bit, wait for people to fill in. And then once we have maybe 2 or 3 minutes pass, we'll get started with our intro presentation, and then we will hear from Galileo and Last Mile AI. Okay, it's been about 2 minutes. We'll have our talks in just a couple minutes. I'm going to start the intro at 10:05. Meanwhile, let us know where you're coming from. Okay, it's 10:04, so in just a minute here, we'll start the intro presentation. For now, I'm just letting the slides play. We'll walk through these slides real quickly, and then we will kick off our workshops at 10:15. All right, so it's about 10:05. I see a lot of people are here. Oh, cool. So let's see who's here. So we have someone from Portland. That's great. We have someone from Seattle. I'm in Seattle. We got someone from San Francisco. Oh, another person from Seattle. That's awesome. And someone from Dallas, Texas. All right, it looks like we can go ahead and kick off our presentation. So let me move my face to the screen. No, it's probably easier to do this. Yeah, okay. I'll go through all these slides. If you've been to some of these hackathons before, you're probably familiar with these slides anyway. Oh, cool. Someone joining from San Jose and someone joining from Princeton, New Jersey. Looks like we got people from all over the country today. So that's great to see. Okay. So with these slides, our first slide is always this: are you looking for an open source or AI job? Basically, we have a few, like, I don't know, maybe about 100-ish companies in our network who are sometimes looking to hire. And this is one of the ways they hire is they look through resumes. So if you want to fill this out and you want to put your resume in, we can do that for you. Of course, there's me. You can find me on LinkedIn. So I'm at a little over 13,000 followers now. So if you find me, you can keep up with all the events and you can help me reach the 100,000 follower mark. This is the calendar. Chances are, if you are here and you are subscribed and you are participating in the hackathon, um, chances are you are subscribed to the calendar. If not, please do. If you are into startups and you like AI or you work at an AI startup, this is probably a really good event for you. This is the largest startup and AI developer conference in the Pacific Northwest. So last year we had about 900 people come to this event. We had one of the VPs from AWS, one of the MDs from JP Morgan. We had a lot of really big name people come through. We had Ben Gilbert. We had the CEO of StatSig. I don't know if you know, StatSig is the most recent unicorn out of Seattle. They recently raised $100 million. There we had about 467 unique companies represented. And next year, we're hoping to do this bigger. Next year, we're hoping to do 1,200, 1,500 people, 2-day conference. Yeah. So if you're in this area, check this out. Come to Seattle Startup Summit. It says next March, but I think it's actually going to be April 1st. Okay. So this will be one of our presenters today. One of our presenters will come and talk about MCP Agent. So this is a open source MCP library. Basically, this allows you to easily spin up MCPs and use them in an agentic fashion. And we'll see a workshop with a working demo to / tutorial later. And you can tell that, I didn't make the slide. Someone else who has animation skills made this slide. So check it out. Give them a star on GitHub. The way we sponsor all these hackathons, the way we make these possible is essentially through sponsorships from companies like this. If you are working in, or if you would like to work in generative AI, we have a preview for the generative AI, cracking the generative AI interview. If you would like to be on this waitlist, feel free to scan this and fill this out. So we've got about 7 minutes before we have our first workshop. So I'm going to kind of talk about the rules of the hackathon, the goals of the hackathon, and that should only take a couple minutes. And then we'll open up for questions if you have any questions about participating in the hackathon, things like that. So first off, make sure that you are in the Discord. The Discord is how we're going to be communicating with hackers. We will also be sending emails, but we'll primarily be communicating via Discord. Team size, we recommend team sizes of 2, but you could really do team sizes of 3. I found that these virtual hackathons, 3 people is really hard to coordinate, and it's best if you do a team size of 2. You will be judged by about, I think it's 20 industry professionals. Some of these people are, people like directors at ADP, solution architects at AWS, senior VPs, principal product managers, people like that. We have one of the founding forward deployed engineers of Ramp. So these people all have a variety of different backgrounds, and they all have a variety of different experience. And so the goal for this weekend is for you to build a working agent prototype. And after you build your prototype, we will send it off to these people to judge, right? So when you finish your project, you should have an open source repo, an open source GitHub repository, and you should have some sort of presentation around why you built it, what you're building, and all of that stuff. And what you'll submit to be judged, what you'll submit for the hackathon is a screen recording, basically. You want to screen record what you're doing, and you want to show your working demo so that people can tell that what you're doing actually works. And the reason why we asked for the open source GitHub repository is so that we can see that you built it over the weekend. Of course, like we listed in the registration page, you can bring projects that you've been working on before this, but what we want you to display, what we want you to show is what you've built this weekend. So if you're working on projects, if you're going to submit a project that you've been working on, um, demo only the part where you have built this weekend, because that is what we're going to be judging you on. And it's not fair to other participants if you are, if you submit a project that you've been working on for 3 weeks and say, oh, I built this over the weekend, right? So please do keep that in mind. Our goal for this is, build that agent, working agent MVP. If you can build something that is like a working proof of concept, you will get in front of nearly 20 companies this weekend, right? So you can use that to get a kickstart. If you're building a startup, one of the most important things to do when you're building a startup is to get that traction and begin driving potential customers, users, and all that kind of stuff. So the goal for you this weekend, if you are the type of person that wants to build a startup, and by the way, if you are looking to build a startup, please drop something in the chat. So I'm just curious, what people are doing. If that is something you were looking to do, you can use this as an opportunity to get in front of a lot of these big companies and get your first customers in. In addition, if you are one of the people who wins this, we do have a large list of venture capitalists who are reading or looking at a lot of the demos that we put out. So I don't know if you guys have seen the SF Awesome AI Dev Tools event series, but we do that event series in San Francisco every month, and we have about 15 to 20 companies that come and demo. And every time we do that, we record these demos. They're only 2 to 3 minutes long. And a lot of these companies have raised funding. Some of these companies haven't raised funding, but they're only 2 to 3 minutes long. And we have like a bunch of VCs, I don't even know, like more than I can count, that asks to see those demos every month. And this series of hackathons that we're doing, these online AI hackathons, one of the things we want to do is we want to start taking these, and actually we did this last time. We submitted about 20 projects to these guys. What we want to do is we want to start seeing if we can start picking startups out of these hackathons. So if you build a proof of concept or a minimum viable product that works in this hackathon, we're going to send it out to people, and we're going to have them judge it and see if that's something that they want to talk to you about. Oh, cool. So we have a lot of startup people here. We have someone who's building a startup. We have someone who's the co-founder of a company, and we have another person who just says me too. Okay. So that's pretty much all for me, right? So you guys know what you're doing. You've got until tomorrow night, midnight, to submit your project. Teams of 2 is ideal. Teams of 3 is fine. Build a working agent. Try to get in, and try to use this as an opportunity to get your first few customers. We're bringing you 20 some professionals who are working at large companies. So use this as an opportunity to sell to those companies. Okay, so now we're going to get into the workshop phase. So we have 2 workshops today. We have one from Galileo and one from Last Mile AI on MCP Agent. So I'm going to start with bringing our first speaker to the stage, Aaron Staples. Oh, wait. First, let me remove this. Okay. Aaron, welcome. You want to test your mic? Okay, nice.
Hello. We should be good. We should be going. We've got screen shares, at least 3 gifts in this presentation, some code, and some free tools. So
Very
I think
good.
That's like all you need in a hackathon, right?
That's all you need in a hackathon.
Caffeine and ideas. That's what I'm missing. And I think that's what you guys have right here.
Yeah. So whenever you're ready, just share your screen. I'll put it up, and then the stage is yours.
All right. One little quick thing here. I'm gonna just rotate. I got too many tabs open already today. So today we're going to be talking about, and I'm a big fan of presentations and demos and all that fun stuff that are very collaborative. So if at any point when I'm talking, feel free to be like, yo, I have a question. And that's the kind of stuff we're going to do. We're going to have some live code here. We're going to do some fun stuff, but most importantly, we're going to talk about I've been a hackathon participant myself, and I think one of the things I have learned a lot doing hackathons is you just got to be willing to test it out there. And sometimes, like, and this is my like tragic flaw in hackathons, is I want to make it the most complex. I like to build a lot of different features, and I like to build them really best. Guess what? In 48 hours, 36 hours, really, you're not going to have enough time to do that. And so if I was participating, like we can see, that is one thing we're going to talk about. But if you guys, looks like you can see my screen a-okay. And I'm going to talk about getting it to deployment. So my name is a little bit about me. I am Erin McHale Staples. I'm a senior developer experience engineer at Galileo. And yeah, curious if anybody's heard of Galileo, that's great. If you haven't, that's cool too. I am pretty active in the AI agent subreddit, so you might have seen me around. I also contribute open source to a couple of different agent projects. So if you have any questions during the hackathon as well, you're feel free to reach out to me on Blue Sky or Reddit. I'm happy to answer where I can. But I really want to bring this here. Ship it or shut it. Like I think the biggest thing of all is we got to make sure when we're talking about hackathons, it's getting it to the ship point. So I actually recently participated in a 4-hour web dev challenge last week. We all built AI agents and we had to build 30 minutes to plan, 4 hours to build, and that was it. And one of the things that really differentiated different teams, and one of the things that I think was really helpful in my experience, and I wanted to bring to y'all and hype y'all up with this, is the only code sometimes that matters is what actually happens in productions. Like in this age of AI stuff, we're getting it works on my prompt is the new works on my machine. So building scalable, consistent systems becomes more important than ever before. A little bit about myself, like I said, developer experience engineer, open source contributor. I also am a stand-up comedian, so I build a few AI comedy agents. So if we have some time at the end, we can go through a few of the weird, fun, quirky things that I've built with AI agents. But quick little thing about what we're going to be jamming on today. We'll go through what is an agent, what are the promise of agents. Then we'll go over through like the real talk world of it. Uh, we see a lot of agents out there, and I actually went and pulled some recent examples from the subreddit as well as some stuff that I've been seeing on LinkedIn to kind of a lot of the agent world right now. Galileo works with a lot of different folks around the globe in enterprise and startups. And the cool thing about the is we see a lot of different like agents in the world happening. However, where they're kind of going off of isn't necessarily what necessarily is going to be built in a hackathon, or we're overcomplicating them. Sometimes these really complex agents aren't taking it to production. So I want to really help you guys actually put it into production and put it in production in a way that you can feel confident about it. So quick, just drop an emoji in the chat if you're like, I'm a super agent builder, whatever, Aaron. Let me know. If you're like, I have no idea what agent is, and I just actually came up with this on my random YouTube recommendation, that's cool too. Let me know kind of in the chat where you guys are feeling in that skill set. We'll go over kind of like how do we know that our agents are working? So testing it, building your own kind of eval stack, and then practical examples or takeaway. Anything else? Eugen, is there anything I should also should cover in this, or any questions that you have as well in this?
No, I think this looks like a good workshop.
Cool.
I'm
Let's
excited.
keep building. All right, let's jam in. All right. So we talk about agents. I feel like it's the new buzzword of the year here. And we've probably seen them. So this is what everybody's super excited about. So if you haven't known and you're like, I've never built an agent in my life, or you're maybe have played with a framework like a Crew AI, Vercel AI. I've been playing around with the Maestra AI. That's been a new one that I've been playing around with. Love this customer feedback one. That's a great one. We'll talk about that today. An AI agent is basically an LLM plus some memory plus some tools, and then you're giving it some autonomy, and then it's become an agent. So I actually have an example that we can use today. If you want to play around, you can, guys, we've got some open source code. You can steal my code, have at it. One of the things that we talk about when we do agents is it's kind of like automating multiple step tasks. So if you've ever used something like an NAN or a Make or Zapier, agents are kind of that, but you have a little more control given that code. So the cool part about it is that you're automating a lot of stuff. However, expectations don't always reach reality. So if we've all built with AI, I think the strawberry example is kind of the example that always comes to mind here. Is AI, like LLMs, love to be confidently wrong. We've all put it into the chat and been like, they love to think that they know everything. They love to think that they know how many R's are in the word strawberry. And even when you're like yesterday, I was coding and I was kind of vibing in Cursor, and I had a separate handler for a function that I had made, and it was like, you don't need that anymore. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I do. Thank you. And the more steps or the more levels of complexity you have in your agent, the more chances that you're going to see these hallucinations. So, the TLDR of what Galileo does and what I'm so excited to work on every day at work is I get to make sure that people are picking these AI agents and they're doing what they say they're going to do. So, that dream scenario of automating our life away or doing those boring things that we don't like doing 100 different times, you're safe and you can take agents into production. And kind of going it back to what we started this talk with is, in a hackathon, in that hackathon speed, we want to make sure that we're shipping and putting our money where our mouth is, putting things into production and doing it in a way that's safe. We don't want to be like, you guys probably all saw the Replit going down this week when they took someone's code. It was scary. But we don't want to have that happen. And we're here to build tools and help you so you can do that safely without kind of making it happen. I don't know what the judging criteria is, but if I was a judge for this, that would definitely be something that I would look for. And I think this is actually a post I pulled from the subreddit when I was working on this as well. And it's like, yeah, building agents isn't the hard part. Like the agent building part, 9 times out of 10, like if you have done an API call or you have made kind of some basic scripts, many times, like especially with the tools like Crew AI and LangChain and Maestra, like these are really starting to become a tool that almost a lot of people can build. My husband's a journalist, so my husband's non-technical, and my husband has built an agentic RAG workflow just using Goose, which is like a agent tool, which is very cool and it's very awesome. But like the hard part is how do you get the agents to actually work, or how do you improve? Like I've got one agent and I improve on it. One thing that I always run into when I'm building an agent is it gets stuck in a loop. How do we fix these problems? And how do you actually like tell it what's happening under the hood? I also love, this is actually from a good friend of mine. I saw this on LinkedIn this morning, actually. And Matthew Upson. So he and I met at Pi Data Berlin a few years ago in Berlin. And one of the things he talks about is his whole job is he works with government consultancies and data and open source folks. And his whole concept is, how do we like really like, there's so much fear out there around AI and agents, and there's so much hype. And sometimes we have to differentiate what is hype and what is noise. And one thing that you can do, and like I say this, I mean, my husband's non-technical, he's a super skeptic. It's not necessarily making the coolest or flashiest thing, but it's making the most effective and useful thing. So, how do you make sure that you're putting things into production that is low risk? I have an agent that I use for work, and it just literally looks at my PRs that I've spent over the week and helps me summarize, like, where did your time go this week, Aaron? And it helps me summarize. And that's like a really easy agent. For a hackathon last week, myself, I participated in a hackathon and we built a little agent tool that took an awesome list from Reddit and it cleaned up the awesome list, and it would give you like a learning guide and based on your GitHub activity. So it would be like, hey, you looked for an awesome list on machine learning. You've done some machine learning. That's awesome. How do we go from here? But in order to know when agents are successful, we need to know what we're measuring. So a lot of the times we think about agents and we're just like, when we measure something, we measure a lot of different things out there. And some of the things we measure are unfortunately wrong. When we think about agents, we often think about how much does it cost? Um, how much output can I get out of it? How many different tools can I add onto it? Or the type of outputs there. Well, these systems aren't necessarily like the best. Like I remember when every kind of company really was starting to put out chatbots and how many other people were like me trying to get like the Amazon support chatbot to do leak code. That's something that we want to make sure if you're building an agent, your agent is staying on the right task. You're not taking it down a detour, you're not side questing it. And I think the number one thing to know if you are on this hackathon is test it with someone outside of your building group, because you will find that your agent, the way that someone else will interact with your agent, or the judges in this case, is going to interact differently than someone who is building the agent and understand how it works under the hood. So keep that in mind as you build. So an AI evaluation is basically the, hey, did your agent do the right thing? We think about AI evaluations kind of typically we'll see these types of metrics. Accuracy, did your agent tell the truth? How much tokens did it use? Latency and safety. Well, this is really great. They're super basic, they're helpful, but they tell it like a lot of it is very surface level. They don't tell us, did it actually achieve the task at hand? Or did it achieve what the user did or said it did? In this case, like I like to compare this, the analogy I like to give if you're using these metrics, this is like judging a chef based on how clean their apron is. So if I'm a cook, I want to know like I got all the seasonings and spices and like I'm making a mess in the kitchen. But that doesn't predict, is my food going to be good? Or did you swap sugar for salt? At the end of the day, like the end user doesn't care how many tokens it used. It cares if the answer is wrong. When we're thinking about building agents, we need to make sure we're measuring them by the right success criteria. Does the outcome match your expectation? So when we're vibing, and don't get me wrong, I love a good vibes too. These vibes aren't catching these failure modes that are going to lead to the end results, whether it's wrong tool selection, misused parameters, is the tone off, or safety violations. So I like to think about these things right in the middle of this beautiful screen of what really matters. So is it, you have on one side your traditional AI eval metrics, which are really great when you're building the agent. That's the debugging. That's how much tokens did it take? Is it calling the right tools? And then you have your agentic experience metrics. So did it understand what I meant? Did it make smart decisions along the way? Was it efficient with the resources that it took? Is it hallucinating, or rather is it kind of just pulling my leg on it? When you're building your agents, make sure you're having a nice combination of both. And again, like I'll give you access. You can use Galileo this weekend. If you have feedback, let me know. I want to see how you guys are using it and what it makes sense to you. But these are the things that I really look at when I'm building agents. It's, did it achieve the objective? Did it understand the request? Did it overuse tools or functions unnecessarily? Can we follow the reasoning? So if we want to kind of give you the screen for your screen cap here, here's kind of a side-by-side differentiation of them both. And you're going to need a little bit of both in order to make it successful. All right, this is when we kind of do that screenshot. When I'm building, usually I kind of think about this in a two-step process, and I'll show you how I use this within my own application here in a second. But I will combine, what I like to do is have my standard evaluation metrics on one side, and use that a lot for my building, and my agent evaluation metrics, use a combination of them. And in Galileo, they're built right out of the box and kind of combine them. The other thing you can do is kind of like what Hamza is talking about in the comments, where you can iteratively improve. So you can even build your own metrics or build your own evaluations, or even if you want to run a kind of version off the side, or you're writing your own metrics or rolling your own, you can do that as well, which is really great. At the end of the day, like your AI is going to need more than a good feeling and a function call. And that's going to be where I'm going to start getting us into some live code. So I'm going to go ahead and swap my screen. I might need your help here, Eugen, to see where this goes. Let's grab my code editor here. Do we want to do, let's do some Stripe agents. So I've got a tool here where I am building a fancy e-commerce store. And I'm going to share my screen again. And I'm going to go ahead. And I'm assuming we are some TypeScript folks in here. I'm going to open us up here, see what folder I am. You are in that folder. All right. So I've got an agent here. And this is available on an SDK examples repo as well. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show how I have this is just the SDK examples repo inside of Galileo. So I'll go ahead and grab that here in a second. But what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what I built and got us going here. So it's got a couple different examples, both in TypeScript and Python. But inside of this tool, I think about like, what are the agents that we actually want to use? And one example is if we are shopping online these days, I think everybody has purchased something probably online in the last 6 months. We have probably interacted with some sort of chatbot assistant, and we want to make sure that we're buying something. So I have built this is Galileo's Gizmos. It is a agent to help you. It is using the Stripe agent toolkit, and I can link those tools as well in the chat. But the Galileo Gizmos store, we can pretend we can purchase something. So we can pretend this is just a simple e-commerce store agent, and I'll show you that agent and how it works. But I can purchase things just by chatting, and it creates a genuine link in Stripe. So I can go ahead and see what is for sale. I run this agent and can see what's in the store. It's going to run inside of this agent, and it's going to tell me a bunch of items here for sale. So I've got an astronaut alarm clock, cosmic wall art, nebula projector. I'm going to say we have how many different teams participating? Can I buy everybody some ice cream? Let's buy everybody some ice cream. I want to buy 200 ice creams. We've got some astronaut ice creams here in our store. And go ahead, if we click on that, boom, 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 share my screen here. Oh my goodness, I have 400 people. Apparently everybody has to share. We have to share our ice cream here. Let me go grab my screen so you can see. I'm going to just go ahead, share my entire screen. If that should share, let me move this off to the side so you can see my. That's a lot of ice cream. So, all right, again, I'm not cheating. I'm not using anything. I'm just pulling up another window here. Fine. I bought 200 ice creams for everybody. And this is just an example Stripe link. So this is a free tool I've used. And wow, that agent has automatically done the customer success part. Yes, I'm in a Stripe sandbox. So this is a nice like free agent tool framework from Stripe. But how does this actually work? And how do we actually know that this is the best tool that I'm using? So inside this app, I've got a couple of different things rocking and rolling. So if I go into this app, TypeScript Stripe agent tool, and I want to see I've got my little Tamagotchis here, the important things when you're building. I can see all here inside of my folders. I've got a Stripe agent folder. So and what it tells you to do is I've got just like some great details of what it does. And then I'm running it through Galileo. It's a LangChain. It's an open framework. So this is not a specific one, but it is using a LangChain to help pass information from details to details. And it tells you a lot about, it's going to initialiate some tools. There's a Stripe agent toolkit builder. It's a really fun, great open source one. And it's going to kind of set up everything. I've gone through and really commented out this file, but if we want to make sure that it's working, we can go to app.galileo.ai, and this is free to use. Go ahead, have at it. I can go ahead, and the cool part about it is it'll tell me every time there's bugs. So I can go through when I'm building and it's like, whoa, Aaron, your tools aren't working. And it's telling me like, oh my goodness, yesterday or on July 31st, you had 5 times, and it's like calling the wrong tool. You need to go ahead and copy and paste that in. And what I do sometimes, this is like my secret hint, is I sometimes will take these summaries and I'll paste them in Cursor and be like, help me fix this tool calling issue, which is great. But I can see at a glance, we can see here's the second, and we'll start to see, here's what my agent looks like. So we'll see these chains here. This is brand new. It's in beta right now. So you're seeing some funky beta material, but we can see at every glance where are items being passed step by step by step, which is very cool to see. You can even see what's happening of what's for sale at each stage of it and where it's getting the information and tools. We can also glance at the different metrics available to it. So, of those tools, how do we know that something worked? Is it sticking to the right instructions? Like if I'm asking for ice cream and it sent me wall art, probably not going to be a good one. Or if I asked to purchase ice cream, the common one that it would do would be like, you want to purchase what? It's not having that enough memory. It'll also tell you how much cost or input output is available. Now, for our question of how do we implement this with user feedback? It's a great question. So I actually have another agent I have built. Let's see, we can go ahead in the Python stack. And I have a very fun agent here called the Startup Simulator 3000. And if you came to an event that Fusion did in New York City, you would have saw this happen. And so let's switch over here. And we're going to do just going to go ahead quickly install that. But we've got another tool right here that's going to just simply run the agent startup simulator. So in this example, you can run a full different like agent startup simulator that gets you started and runs everything within kind of this little fun environment. Remembering all the different tools I built. But in this situation, I took different feedback from different people around it. And I was like, how do we want to build a different startup? And I don't have an OpenAI key apparently available in this, but when I get a new OpenAI key, what this does, I'll walk you through it here. Oops. Go back to Galileo. But when we run our startup simulator, it's going to give us a couple different metrics. So we can run it based on data. So I would go through and be like, what do people find funny? How do people react? What do people want to see in this? And I would go in and I'd be like, I think that people are going to like, I think they're going to find different things funny. So I can see, I'm wondering if I'm even in the right project right now. This is what happens when we're doing it live. But I could go ahead and see at different tools or different times when people would build different agents. So if we look at this agent, we have a couple of different tools here in our startup simulator that has different features with inside of it. Not planning, not tools, but and it's going to create different startup pitches based on an industry, an audience, and a random word. So in this situation, I wanted to take actual real life Hacker News stories and it takes the Hacker News API and it kind of builds a sort of response. And I'm determining if this is good or bad. Based on that, I would tweak the metric that I wrote in order to make sure that my application had the best end result. So I can run, and with Galileo, I could run different versions of the metrics. So if I'm running in, I've got all logs, I can configure metrics. I can go in ahead and click these custom metrics, create a metric using LLM as a judge or even a code powered metric, and create different versions as well in order to make sure that it's relevant. So this is one that we developed for the startup simulator. And I just went through and was like, great. I want to make sure that these are effectively targeting the right information. I want to evaluate the humor, and effectiveness of startup related content. Is this relevant? And then I can continue to iterate based on that. There are times where you can go in and build a whole Python notebook or build a whole workflow to kind of really train that. And there's also experiments built in this as well. So all the tutorials are here and I'm going to be online. Don't be a stranger. Reach out to me on the subreddit. I'm happy to help out with whatever. But the final things is I want to give you guys some free tools to kind of get going in this experience. So let's pull up those fun part because that's the most exciting part. I know we're coming up on time here. And Eugen, please tell me if there's anything that I missed in this whole fun shenanigans. Let me just pull up the final, give out the free stuff, fun slide. Doot, 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 doot. And share my screen. Mm-mm-mm. Says it should be sharing now. All right, so if you have any questions, there's a couple agent examples here on this URL. Take a moment. I'll let it hold here for a second. If you need anything, you can reach out to me at this email. I'm happy to help out how I can, whether it's answering questions, helping you build evals, getting started. If you have product feedback and something you want to see, let me know. Hit me up. And if you wanted to get started, you can go ahead to app.galileo.ai/sign up, and it'll get you started there today. So go ahead. But I'll let that to you. Unless there's any questions, I'll let you take it from here.
Cool. Yeah. I think we've got a couple minutes left before our next workshop starts. So let's see if we can answer any of these questions. I think you touched on one of these questions that someone asked. Oh, first, let me answer this question, which was, can I participate? So the answer is yes. And then how to iteratively improve with customer feedback and how to evaluate agents. I think you touched on how to evaluate agents. I guess that's what you really talked about the whole time. Maybe answer this one a little bit more, how to iteratively improve with customer feedback.
Yeah, so let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and see actually if I can pull up. I've got a version of this folder where I've got a startup simulator already rocking and rolling. So since we don't have my environment files open, let me open up a new window. Damn OpenAI keys, apparently.
Yeah, don't share your OpenAI key.
Yeah. We roll them. It's great because like we have like security processes. This is another thing. Like we have security process, so we roll our keys enough that like in case like even heaven forbid something would get out, like you can only there our internal ones for our team are very like they get rolled often enough that I feel, we've got our safety marks, which is great. The downside is sometimes when you're doing things like, oh, I let me just pop in this for a while, right? I haven't opened this project in a second. You're like, crap, I need to go
replace it with the right key.
Install this thing or re-find a key. Yeah, go get an updated key that's actually working. Look at this. Okay, let's see. Also, I've been in TypeScript all week, and then switching between TypeScript and Python, I'm like, whoa.
I will also switch between these from time to time because now that I have AI coding, I can build websites, which is great because I have never been able to build front end well previous to having AI. And now I do Python notebooks, and sometimes I'll use TypeScript. And I still can't read HTML,
What, really? I'm doing the 2-factor login here. But so one of the fun things about this, let's see if I can get it. Yeah, I know. It's like, what is security? We don't. Just kidding. But on this fun side of it, so I can talk about in theory like how you would be doing this, right? So if we are within the like thinking about how you'd improve it, right? So what I did is I actually, and you were actually here in New York for New York Tech Week.
Yeah.
I went and I was like, hey guys, give me a bunch of crappy startup ideas. And I'd be like, this app, what it does is it asks you for an industry, a topic, and a problem you want to solve. And it's like, great. You should, do this. Like, I want to build a cryptocurrency startup in this space for this many people. And you're like, amazing, great.
Are you sharing the right screen?
I'm inputting my API. I'm waiting for 2 factors. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I'm just
I see your.
talking. You're talking through the
Okay.
process. Yeah.
Okay. I see your mouse moving around, so I was like, I don't know if you're
Oh,
trying to
it's showing the
highlight
mouse.
something.
You're like, no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. No, it's unfortunately I'm just doing the. I am in another browser on top, getting my one pass item fixed as I'm talking. But so I ran this demo, and I was basically like I was like, people tell me what's funny, because comedy is subjective, right? Like everybody finds different things funny. And so I was running, and I would be like, uh, please tell me, people, what cannot type my password and think at the same time. Um, but I'd be like, tell me a tool you want, or tell me a startup in this space, and they'd give me some ideas. And sometimes it would just not, the output would just not be funny. I would take the data set, the JSON, and kind of just export it, put it into a JSON format, and I would use this to tweak my LLM as a judge prompt. So if you're familiar with the concept of LLM as a judge, and if not, that's okay. We're going to explain it real quick right now. LLM as a judge is basically when you're taking one LLM and you're saying, hey, I want you to compare it to the output of another one. And you're giving it some sort of prompt. So, like in this case, I'd be like, you're an expert in comedy. You are familiar with this. And you can use tools where you're like, sometimes an LLM as a judge prompt, you can use an LLM that's been fine tuned. So you're fine tuning it off of a data set, you're fine tuning it. Maybe you're doing a few shot prompts there to kind of even that out. And you're comparing it based on a set of results. So it's kind of using what those big models are really good at, which is pattern matching. They can do that at scale much better than us humans can. This all to be said is I would take that data and I would be like, here is a bunch of results that I got from this conference when just running this key, right? And it gave me some answers, and I would get a result there. And actually, we can show this way easier rather than me fighting an OpenAI login right now. Damn these two factors.
Do you have this
But
recorded somewhere?
I do. I'll drop the link in as
Okay.
well. But I can run in and see in my metrics, and I can go and search by my custom metrics. Like these are my like humor ones. And I would go through, and a lot of these I would go through and start tweaking on this, but you can also use this in a code metric manner. So you can say like, these are the ones that did really, really well. The audience responded well to these ones. And I could even just had, when I was running it, kind of just in practice, I would kind of read the jokes to people or read jokes to friends. And I would be like, just kind of check a box. Did this one work really well? Great. That did well. Did this one sounded too real? Because it does have, there's a serious mode in this startup simulator, and the serious mode is too serious sometimes. Because if you guys haven't seen the news lately, it's not all jokes and funny and humor. And it would be like, these aren't funny. And everybody would be like, this is sad. We don't want to talk about this. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, that sucks. Like, I don't want to send you sad news things. And that's how what I would do. And I would go through and I would continue to tweak the prompts on this. And I would be like, great, I need to make sure of this. So these are all very V1 prompts. You can see they're created a while back, but I can go through it. You can even kind of tweak them a little bit. So just use like a manual like prompt metric there, which is nice. And if you want to test it, you're even given the option when you're writing to test these. So that's kind of one way that I would do it pretty iteratively, is kind of start. And again, one of the biggest things I find when building agents, you can also do this by code, but when building agents, one of the things that I think is quick, especially in this like really short period of time frame, is test it with people outside of the people who are building it, because you, the builders, are going to know the tools that you set it up and how they're called, while the people who your users are, and in this case, I'm assuming the judges aren't going to be over your shoulder for all 400 different people building. That's going to be a very different item. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. And
Do
I'll drop
send us.
that link in the chat.
Yeah, send us the recording. We will kick off our second workshop now. So thank you very much, Aaron. Send us the recording. If you guys want to talk to Aaron, ask questions, Aaron, also drop your Reddit. You can ping her
Yeah.
on Reddit. And I think, are you in the Discord as well?
I believe so. DM me and we'll make it on. I'll get in there.
Okay.
So
And if you have questions and you need to ping her on Discord, we'll find a way to get
yeah,
her to you.
yeah,
Okay.
you'll find a way. I'll do a post right now in the subreddit that has everything. So that has my contact and whatnot. So
Cool. Thank you, Aaron.
later.
Okay, cool. So we will have our second workshop. So our second workshop will be about MCP Agent, which is a open source library that helps you use MCP servers in a agentic manner. And we'll have Hanye from Last Mile AI give this workshop.
Awesome. Thanks, Eugene. And hello, everyone who's watching. I'll go ahead and share my slides. Share screen. Okay. Hold on 1 second.
No
Let's see if I
worries.
can get this to where I'll just put this in Figma. Sorry, I mean, I open up here. Slides not allowing me. Okay. There we go. Show slides. Can you see the slides now?
We cannot.
Okay, let me try one more time. Share it.
Aha. Okay.
And then I will just start from present. Sorry. Okay.
Okay, cool. I'm going to take myself out the stage.
Perfect. So, this is it. Okay, so my name is Tanya. I'm a product manager at Last Mile AI, and today I'm going to talk to you about the framework we built at Last Mile AI called MCP Agent. Before starting, today I'm going to cover a couple of topics. I'm going to go over the agentic stack and what it looks like in 2025. And then what is MCP agents and how to expose agents as MCP servers. And also the agentic architecture, how we can model agents as a asynchronous workflow using the orchestration like temporal and airflow and etc. Okay. So the agentic stack in 2025, we know that there's 3 big changes that are allowing people to ship apps to production much faster. The first one is better models. So the test time, compute, and reasoning for these models have shifted in a way that they're all in the inference layer now. So therefore, there's less complexity for app builders to develop apps. And then model context protocol. So in late 2024, I think November 2024, Anthropic came out with this protocol called model context protocol, a standardized way for LLMs to call access tools and data. And this specific way has enabled LLMs to access data and context much faster, and it's the single way to basically give context to LLMs that's much more unified. And the last thing is that the whole architecture is much simplified. So you can orchestrate LLMs with MCP-enabled tools and build much faster and much more productionable apps and agents. Okay, so let's talk about the architecture a little bit more. So Anthropic, in one of their papers that came out called Building Effective Agents, they talked about a couple of workflows that enables MCP and LLMs to do the tool calls. And I'm just going to go over the main ones that are very relevant to building agents. So the first one is called the augmented element. It's basically the user do an input, the LLM, which has access to different tools, resources, memories, etc., does what the input asks and then gives an output. So it's basically like a building block for agent workflow. And then the second one is called the evaluator optimizer. It's where you have two LLMs. One LLM is the optimizer that refines the response, and the other LLM is an evaluator that critiques the response until the optimizer gets to a certain degree that's acceptable. So it's kind of like an eval for agents, but within the workflow. And then we also have the parallel workflow, which is the fan out task to multiple sub-agents. And then it aggregates all the results into one and then gives an output. And then finally, I think this one's the most useful and powerful workflow, which is called the orchestrator, is where you have one LLM that generates the plan or has the power, and then that LLM assigns tasks to these like sub-agents, and at the end of the call, it synchronizes the results and then give a very comprehensive output. And then that's where MCP agent come in, or Workframe come in, which is our founders very early on in late 2024, like right after the Building Effective Agents and Model Context Protocol came out, thought that MCP should not only be used for LLM to communicate with tool calls or do tool calls, it should also be used for agents to communicate with agents. So, and then another key observation they had was that MCP was everywhere. Every line of business applications, they think that it will soon become a client. So for example, your PowerPoint slides, like all the like cursor has already became, but every basically applications that you interact with on a daily basis will become MCP client, and every services will have an MCP server. Right now, there are thousands of MCP server about like different things out there. And then another thing was that there should be a way where agents can expose as MCP servers, so that they can basically deploy these microservices through these agents that are exposed as MCP servers. So you can build a workflow, and then you can expose that workflow or like that application as an MCP server, and then you can suddenly give it to a lot of people and everybody can use it. And the last thing was that agents are async workflows. So what does that mean? That means that agents should be able to pause and pause like in between workflows, and then redirect and then run again. You can think like airflow or temporal. So the execution of them should be async. Let me talk a bit more about agents as MCP servers. So right now, all the agentic behaviors in MCP are on the client side. So you ask Claude Desktop to fetch information for you or access your file system. And clients basically are like Claude, Cursor, that use servers to solve a certain problem. But our thesis is, what if agents are exposed as MCP servers? So then you have an MCP client that can invoke and coordinate and orchestrate agents in the same way that it does with other MCP servers. And like, here's an example where you can build your own agent and then you can expose it as a server and use it in different clients, like this example that it's using it. And then the last thing is that this really enables agents to invoke other agents and build a very complex workflow in a very simple and composable way. So the key things about agents as MCP servers that it helps you build, as I mentioned, complex multi-agent systems in a very simple way using model context protocol. It's platform agnostic agents, so you build them once and you can use them anywhere. And they're also scalable. So you run an agent workflow on a dedicated infrastructure, and you can execute it on any other client and anywhere you want, basically. So it has a lot of big benefits. I'm going to pause and go a bit more into async workflows and what I mean by that. So basically, we believe that agents can be paused or should be able to be paused and resumed. We think that human feedback is also critical in this. And if, like, let's say you have an agentic workflow and then it fails at a certain part of the execution, it should be able to pick up from where it like failed or left off, so it doesn't have to run the whole thing again. And they should also be triggered or scheduled. So like you can schedule a text message or an email, and you should be able to do that. So we think that agents themselves should be represented as asynchronous workflow like this. This specifically is a temporal, and it shows like how each agent is working. Elicitation. So another word for elicitation is human in the loop or human feedback. This is a new feature that we just released. It's basically exposing, basically allowing MCP servers to pause mid workflow so that it can accept human feedback on the client side, which we call it elicitation. And this is huge because as amazing as agentic workflows are, they need human impact, human input and guidance. So it's very critical for them to be able to pause and make sure that they're on the right path and then continue for different applications, of course. With that, I'm done with my presentation, and I want to show you exactly how it works. So I'm going to stop sharing and then share the app I built a while ago. Share screen. Okay, share. I'm gonna go here. Okay. Can you see my screen? Good.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is an example of an app. You can find it on our repo. We actually have a lot of different use cases and samples. This one specifically was inspired by my partner's curiosity into stocks and buying stocks. And the whole goal was to be able to give it a name of a stock or a portfolio of stocks and ask it to basically on a daily basis do a report of how well are they doing, or maybe even before their earning calls, how well they are doing, what are some of the recent news about them, and basically give you a one-pager report so you can make good decisions while buying them. So how it works is that almost all MCP apps have three main components: the main file, the config file, which is where you configure your MCP servers, and then the secrets file, which I'm not going to touch on because it has my API key, but basically only has like all your secrets or personal files, personal keys. So yeah, all of them all have this. And then we also use UV to run the app because it brings much more flexibility into the whole experience. So this app is called the Stock Analyzer. As you can see, you initiate it, and then here I have my first agent, the research agent. So the way this app works is that I actually incorporated two of the main workflows that we talked about, the orchestrator and the evaluator optimizer workflow. So in this specific example, I have a research agent that does the research, and then I have the research evaluator that evaluates the research agent's output. And then as you can see, the research agent also have access to fetch server. You can add any other financial MCP servers that you want your app to like fetch data. In this case, I just wanted like a Google search just to see like what are the top things out there. And then here are the prompts. Here are the prompts. You have to make sure that you're very accurate and meticulous in what you want your agent to do. Over prompting is not great, but under prompting is also doesn't result into consistent outputs. And as you can see in this specific case, I have what excellent means, what good means, what fair, what poor means, and I ask it to like give me excellent or else try again. And then you can also give a limit to the how many times you want it to try. And then this is the function for the evaluator optimizer where you specify which one's the optimizer, which one's the evaluator, and then it does it for you till the quality gets to good in this case. And then I also have an analyst agent is where it gets all the results and then writes do a thorough analysis on like what the result actually means, and a writer that writes it in a very comprehensive way, so that's easy to digest. And then in this specific case, my orchestrator that has access to my research quality controller, so the optimizer evaluator, and my analyst agent and report writer agent that is able to put them all together and basically orchestrate like which agent should run first, and then which tool call should which agent has access to tool call, what so on. So here the orchestrator is the mastermind. And then here I write about like exactly what I want the orchestrator to do, which then it goes from there. So enough of me talking. Let me just show you in action how it works. So Figma went public and a couple of days ago. So we can look about how Figma did, or if you guys have any other companies you want me to do, but I'll just do Figma just for the sake of it. So as you can see, it starts running, and you can actually see all the logs and like all the different agents and tool calls that are being done. This usually takes about 2 to 3 minutes. Depending on like all the data that are out there. And I know for a fact that Figma is fairly new, so it might have a problem. Not problem, but it might have like not enough data, even I'd say. Anyways, before this session, I actually ran it once. We wait for it till it like finish up, but I ran it once, and I just want to show you the report before this workflow is done. So basically, a comprehensive of Figma, FIG. It says market confidence with IPO price surge and aligns with broader IPO enthusiasm. Let's see. Basically talks about how they're doing really great. It talks about the bull case and the bear case, like how negative earnings underscore ongoing challenges. And then it also sources where it got the information from, so that you can always go back and see how it did. So it's an easy way for me to be informed about like all the different things that are out there. It also, so I can go to here and show you this before that's done. So this is the place where you say what what tools, MCP tools or servers your agent has access to. I think our workflow is done, so I can show it to you later. But basically, I gave it access to Fetch, which is like a Google, which is search, basically server. G-Search, which in this scenario, I just disabled it just so that we want it to be faster, and also file system. So file system is allowing your agent to store files in-house. Okay, so let's see. Preview. There we go. So again, it's almost very identical to this report. Okay, let's see. Oh, sorry. There. Yeah. So they have different styles, but almost the same data. Open preview. Yeah, I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions or any comments?
All right. Thank you, Hanye.
Yeah.
Questions, comments? Let's see if we can address anything that people have to ask about MCP or agents. And we'll just give the chat a few minutes type, a couple minutes type.
Okay, I think I can just show them our QR code in case they're interested. Oh, actually, here, there. Can you see it?
Yes. Why don't you have the one that has the running dog? I have the one that has the running dog.
Yeah, I have the one. Okay, I think I can find that one.
Hamza says, where can we find the code that you showed?
GitHub.
Can you send the GitHub link?
Yeah, in a second. Let me put this out there. There we go. So if you go to this QR code or just GitHub, that's my MCP agent. I can quickly. Okay, so we're actually the first repo up there. If you go to examples and use cases, here's all the different things we have here, examples, and this one's called MCP Financial Analyzer. And it tells you exactly how to install, run, download, etc.
Cool. And then Marco asks, is MCP free?
It's free. It's free, available for everyone to use and build on.
Okay, cool. Let's see if there's any other questions in the last couple of minutes here. If not, then we can wrap things up. I'll give a quick ending spiel and then we can wrap things up.
Awesome. Don't forget to star our repo. That's something I have to say. If you like it, of course.
Go star the repo. Show us some support.
Show us some support.
Okay. Thanks for coming, everyone. Thanks for your presentation, Hanye. Thanks for your presentation, Aaron. Aaron, I see you're still in the chat, which is great. So just a reminder for everyone, you have from now until basically midnight tomorrow to submit a project. You want to build a working AI agent. As we said at the beginning of the stream, if you have an agent and it works, you have the opportunity to get some customers. We've brought in 20 industry experts from large companies like ADP, AWS, Bank of America, IBM, US Bank, Ramp, and a bunch of other companies around the world. And they are, they all buy software. So try to get in front of them, see if you can get some pilots going, and then if it's something exciting that multiple judges, decide that they want to test out, they want to pilot, we have an extensive network of VCs that are always interested in investing in pre-seed companies. So, please do get something fun going, something exciting going. And there's one question here. I hear there was some research about prompting might not be as important as we thought, and the underlying distribution is key. Oh, this is for Aaron. I don't really. I'm gonna let you guys work this out in the chats because I don't know. I don't have anything to say about this. For making effective agents. There's been a lot of research on a lot of this different stuff. I will let Aaron address this in the chat though. Okay, so I will send out a form. Yes, great question, Varun. This is exactly what I was about to address. Thank you. I did not plant this man in the audience. He just asked. I will send out a form that will ask you to register your team in about 15 minutes. And then tomorrow, around noon, you will get a form that will ask you to submit your project. Now, of course, you have until midnight tomorrow. So I'm just going to give you the submission link early, and we'll send it out multiple times. We'll send it out on both the Discord and the what is it called? The Luma Blast. Okay. So if there's any questions about the hackathon, or MCP or whatever, we'll be on for another minute or two. If not, please do ask in the Discord or on Reddit. I guess we have a thread going on Reddit. We have a mega thread going on Reddit or on Luma. So whatever works for you, just come and ask whenever you would like. For now, I think there's a good conversation going on in the comments between Hamza and Aaron, but the rest of you don't seem to have any other questions. So I think we'll just end it right here. All right. Thank you, Hanye. Thank you, Aaron. And thank you all for stopping by.